Joining me now, the one and only Andrew Clyde, Congressman, 9th District in Georgia, Republican. He's with us now, and one of the people that held out of the 20 to get the rules changes in Congress that are going to make a difference. But hey, I want to congratulate Andrew Clyde right off the bat, not only for his courage, but he got named to the Appropriations Committee. So, Congressman Clyde, I'm really excited about you being on the Appropriations Committee. Can you shed a little light on that for us, sir?
Well, thank you, John. Appreciate being with you this morning. You know, it's important to be on the Appropriations Committee because, for one thing, that's where the final rubber meets the road in spending. And if you're ever going to control spending, if you're going to control an out-of-control government, then the Appropriations Committee is a very, very important place to be. And that's one of the things, you know, we have phenomenal rules now that we fought for. We've got to have guardrails in place to ensure that those rules are maintained and are abided by. So therefore, we need to have conservatives on committees that will help ensure that our government is fiscally responsible and you know, does what the American people want them to do, and that is not spend over your budget. So it's just very, very important that we have conservatives on these types of committees that can help to put guardrails on federal spending, and that's what we're doing here.
So you guys got stripped of any real leverage when the $1.7 trillion omnibus bill got passed out from under you before you guys got sworn in by the rhinos, the quislings, and the basically the communists, as far as I'm concerned. Here's my question: we got a debt ceiling coming up. What leverage does that give our movement, our conservatives in Congress? What leverage does that give you to say, get those 87,000 IRS agents out, or not do the debt ceiling? Because, you know, everybody's going to be running around with their hair on fire, going on all the networks saying that, oh, if we default, the world is going to end, we're all going to die. What leverage does that provide you with, Congressman Clyde?
Well, John, one of the things that we put in our rules is that we will not agree to a debt ceiling increase without a plan to reduce our debt and to bring our federal spending into check. And that's one of the beautiful things about our rules package. I mean, it's honestly, I believe it's transformational in change. You know, I did not come here to Washington, D.C. To maintain the status quo. I came to change it because everybody knows that Washington, D.C. is broken. And this rules package that we have, which has a lot of phenomenal other rules attached to it, like, you know, some of them people think are just plain logic, and I agree with them in that. 72 hours to read a piece of legislation before it can come to the floor for a vote. A single subject bill, which is phenomenal. And then you have germaneness attached to it, which means that, yes, your bill has to have a single subject, and then no amendments that are added to that bill can be anything but the single subject of the bill. So, you know, you can't have you know, a National Defense Authorization Act with a you know, an LGBTQ community center in New York attached as an earmark, which is a phenomenal thing. That's what we dealt with in December. We will never have to deal with that again because the rules package prohibits it.
So, but again, what happens when the debt ceiling comes? I mean, everybody figures we're going to cave, because that's what we always do, because the pressure gets too tough and we say we can't default, and so we just go. But one of the things you guys did in the rules is you went from pay-go to cut-go. So wouldn't the answer to not raising the debt ceiling would be simply say, hey, why don't we just cut these things out of the budget and then we don't have to raise the debt? I mean, is that a realistic option?
That is a realistic option, and you know, cut-go is a great example of it. So we are not going to raise taxes. We are going to cut spending. And that's the whole focus. John, we came here as conservatives to ensure that our federal government stays within our financial means. You know, you and I don't have the ability to go and spend more than what we earn, or we're going to go bankrupt. And somebody else is going to come in and take everything we've got left. So our federal government cannot keep spending trillions and trillions of dollars more, adding more and more to our debt. And the way to do that is you have a balanced budget, and then you start paying off that debt. And that's just what we have to do, or we're going to be in deep financial straits when the world economy decides that they don't want the US dollar as the primary means of payment anymore. And China and Russia are trying to make that happen. We have to prevent that, and being financially responsible is the way to do it.
Congressman, let's get to brass tacks, right? Because we've all been down this road so many times, and we always get let down. So here's what kind of we're looking at, right? So the debt ceiling comes. The Democrats are going to be saying, hey, we need to raise it. We're going to default. Mark Warner from Virginia is going to run around every network with his hair on fire and his suit blowing up, saying it's going to be the end of the world. People are going to starve and die, right? I mean, I've seen this act so many times, I could script it out. So there's going to be all this pressure to just raise it, kick the can down the road, do what we always do. And if you don't raise it, then there's going to be a logjam. Government will have to shut down or something. But when you're looking at it, in about a couple weeks, the Democrats are going to have 213 votes because state senator in Virginia, Jennifer McClellan, is going to win that special easy. That's D plus 29. She's going to win. So they're going to have 213 votes, which means they only need 5 Republicans to peel off and say, look, I can't let the debt ceiling explode. And then they got their 218 and it's over. How do you stop that, honestly? Because we saw and watched the Democrats stick together 100% through those 15 votes, right? 212 for Hakeem every single time. Nobody left. Nobody did anything. They stuck together. How do we get our majority to stick together and not get 5 that peel off and go with the Democrats, honestly?
Well, John, I can't promise that we're absolutely going to stick together because I'm one of those 222. I'm not all 222. We just have to be able to work together, and I think we showed that we can work together. And I mean, we got Speaker McCarthy elected, and we got a great rules package because of it. And in that rules package, it does deal with the debt ceiling increase and how we are going to actually, approach that problem. It is a problem. It is one of the most difficult problems that Congress is going to have to deal with. It's also the greatest point of leverage between now and the fiscal year 24 budget and appropriations. So that is our leverage point, the debt ceiling. And as I promised the 9th District, I'm not going to vote for a debt ceiling that doesn't have a corresponding plan to reduce the debt, and therefore to bring us back into fiscal responsibility and fiscal accountability to the American people. And I think the whole Republican conference, I'm an optimist, but I think the whole Republican conference will be united in that regard under Speaker McCarthy's leadership.
So if you got 222 votes, they got 213. You got to peel 5 off. Do you think you guys have got the spine and the resolve now to just let the government shut down until you get the cuts you want in order to get us back on some sound footing, instead of just simply raising the debt like we always do? Because McConnell's going to be saying, you're going to be fighting the rhinos in the Senate, the Quislings, 19 of them. I mean, I guess what we're asking here publicly, I mean, are we going to be disappointed again? Or do you think you guys have the spine now over what happened? You're 20 of you, in order to hold everybody accountable and say no?
Well, I think we will not have a government shutdown, because I believe the plan will be to pass a continuing resolution that actually reduces spending. It's going to be somewhere in the 95 to 98% of what the federal government normally spends. So we're going to have a spending decrease right off the bat right there. And so I don't think we're going to see a government shutdown, but we are going to see a reduction in government spending until we can get this situation resolved. And I think that's a good thing. I think that was actually Thomas Massey's plan, and we're gonna go with it, I believe.